Always somebody else's fault. It's never J.J. Redick's fault. It's never, and did I see LeBron James pouting all game long? Did I see the bad body language from LeBron? Absolutely. Did I see him not putting forth the defensive effort? Did I see your best player, your franchise player, Luka Doncic, complaining after every single call? You damn right I did. But J.J., why don't they care?
Right now, and that's the part that bothers you a lot. We don't care enough to do the things that are necessary. We don't care enough to be a professional. It's a matter of making the choice. And too often we have guys that don't want to make that choice. And it's pretty consistent who those guys are. And so Saturday's practice, I told the guys, it's going to be uncomfortable.
Has to hold himself accountable, because there's only so many times throughout the course of the season that a head coach can continue to call out his team. We have
another 53 games like this.
Christmas Day, the Lakers got absolutely demolished by the Houston Rockets. Not just beaten, demolished, humiliated, embarrassed on the biggest regular season stage the NBA has to offer. 119-96. And it wasn't even that close. LeBron James suffered the worst margin of defeat on Christmas in his entire legendary career. Think about that for a second. We're talking about a man who's played more Christmas games than most people have watched. A four-time champion, arguably the greatest basketball player to ever live. And this was his worst Christmas performance ever. But here's where it gets spicy. Here's where the narrative takes a turn that's got the entire basketball world talking. Because Kendrick Perkins didn't hold back, not even a little bit. And what he said has lit a fire under every Lakers fan, every LeBron stan, and every basketball analyst from coast to coast. The question on everyone's mind: were the Lakers actually better off without LeBron James? Let's rewind for context. Remember the start of this season. LeBron wasn't playing consistently. And the Lakers, they were rolling. Wins left and right. The offense was flowing. The defense had energy. Everyone was talking about how good this team looked, how J.J. Redick was some kind of coaching genius, how the Lakers might actually be a problem in the Western Conference. Then something shifted, and suddenly the wheels started coming off. Now, before the LeBron army comes for my throat, let's be crystal clear about something. This isn't about disrespecting greatness. This isn't about pretending LeBron James isn't one of the most dominant forces the sport has ever seen. But we're not here to write fairy tales. We're here to talk about what's actually happening on the basketball court right now. And what's happening is a disaster. LeBron James pouting all game long. Did I see the bad body language from LeBron? Absolutely. Did I see him not putting forth the defensive effort and getting back in transition, only having 2 rebounds last night in a game where you know a team loves to pound the glass and grab offensive rebounds? 2 rebounds. 2 against a Houston team that thrives on offensive boards and second-chance opportunities. For a player of LeBron's size, basketball IQ, and experience, that's not just bad, that's unacceptable. That's a veteran essentially checking out of the game mentally. But it gets worse. The body language, the pouting, the lack of effort getting back on defense. These aren't just stats that don't show up on the box score. These are leadership failures. These are moments where the supposed greatest player on your team is actively hurting your chances to win. J.J. Redick knows it, too. After the game, he didn't mince words. He went scorched earth on his own team in a way we rarely see from first-year head coaches. We don't care enough right now. That's the part that bothers you a lot. We don't care enough to do the things that are necessary. We don't care enough to be a professional. That's your head coach publicly stating that his team doesn't care enough to be professional on Christmas Day after getting blown out by 23 points. That's not coach speak. That's not media training. That's a man at the end of his rope. It's a matter of making the choice. And too often we have guys that don't want to make that choice. And it's pretty consistent who those guys are. Read between the lines. JJ knows exactly who the problems are. He's not naming names, but he doesn't have to. We all watched the same game. We all saw the same lack of effort, the same players jogging back on defense, the same stars not showing up when it mattered most. But here's where Perk drops the hammer. Because while JJ is out here calling out his team in vague terms, Perk is asking the question everyone's thinking but nobody wants to say out loud. Why doesn't JJ call LeBron by name? It's always somebody else's fault. It's never JJ Redick's fault. It's never. And that's the crux of the entire problem with this Lakers team. The accountability is completely one-sided. JJ can talk all he wants about guys not caring, about lack of professionalism, about the meeting on Saturday being uncomfortable, but until he's willing to look his best player in the eye and say you are part of the problem, nothing changes. Nothing. The stats don't lie. The Lakers are 19-10 this season. Sounds decent, right? But here's the kicker. All 10 of their losses have come by double digits. The average margin of defeat is over 18 points per game. Only the Washington Wizards, the literal worst team in the NBA, are losing games by larger margins. That's not competitive basketball. That's not a team that's close to figuring it out. That's a team with fundamental systemic problems that get exposed whenever they face quality competition. And the Houston Rockets, they're a young, hungry team that had lost their last 2 games coming into Christmas. They were struggling to find their identity. They were supposed to be vulnerable. Instead, they came out and absolutely dominated from tip-off to final buzzer. They never trailed, not once. Amen Thompson led all scorers with 26 points. The Rockets played with pace, energy, and purpose. Everything the Lakers didn't. Monica McNutt tried to offer some perspective. I agree. Everybody has to be looked at when it comes to this Lakers organization, but the reality of it to me is that the league is changing over, and right now they're just not built to continue to keep up. Monica is talking about how the league is getting younger and how teams like Houston, OKC, and the Spurs are built differently than these aging Lakers. And she's not wrong, but Perk wasn't having it. Both of these teams walked, the Rockets and the Lakers, both walked into this Christmas Day game struggling. The Rockets had lost their last 2. They were struggling to find their identity. His point is simple. This wasn't about facing a juggernaut. This was about facing a team that was also struggling and getting absolutely steamrolled anyway. There's no excuse for that. Not with the talent this roster has. Not with a team that's supposed to be competing for a championship. The disconnect is glaring. JJ Redick knows basketball. We all know that. He played 15 years in the league. He's been around greatness. He understands the game at an elite level. So, what's the issue? It's got to be that he doesn't have the ears of that locker room, because if he did, then we wouldn't be having these conversations. And that's it right there. That's the nuclear bomb Perk just dropped on this entire situation. JJ doesn't have the locker room. The players aren't listening. Or worse, they're listening, but they don't respect what he's saying enough to actually implement it on the court. Always look at a team that plays with effort, that plays hard defensively. Even though we know that they're lacking the personnel, they're still not putting forth the effort. Think about what that means. This is the 5th or 6th time this season that JJ has come out publicly to criticize his team's effort and attention to detail. 5th or 6th time in a season that's not even halfway done. That's not normal. That's not sustainable. That's a coach who's losing control of his team in real time. And the elephant in the room, LeBron James is untouchable in that locker room. He's the franchise. He's the legend. He's the guy who brought this organization a championship. JJ can't call him out the way he needs to. Not publicly. Probably not even privately. Because if LeBron gets upset, if LeBron decides JJ isn't the guy, it's JJ who's gone, not LeBron. That's the reality of coaching a superstar of that magnitude. Your hands are tied. You can talk about accountability all you want, but when your best player is the one setting the tone with bad body language and lack of effort, what can you actually do? Remember how this season started. The Lakers were finding ways to win. The ball was moving. Guys were playing with energy. There was a sense of collective responsibility, and they were winning games because of it. But now the losses are piling up, always in double digits, always in blowout fashion. The offense becomes stagnant, the pace slows down, the defense gets lazier, and everyone watches it happen in real time. When your team is not responding and going out there and competing at a high level defensively and playing hard, that's saying that they're not listening or that they somewhat lack respect for you. There it is, the truth bomb. When a team consistently fails to execute the basics, effort, defense, communication, it's not just a talent problem, it's a respect problem. The players don't believe in what the coach is selling, or they don't care enough to buy in. JJ Redick promised that Saturday's practice would be uncomfortable, that the meeting would be tough. I told the guys it's going to be uncomfortable. But uncomfortable meetings don't mean anything if they're not followed by real accountability. If the same players keep making the same mistakes, if the stars keep showing the same bad body language and lack of effort, then it's just noise. So, it's got to be a little level of accountability all across. Perk is absolutely right. Everyone needs to be held accountable. The coach for not getting through to his players, the role players for inconsistent effort, and yes, the superstars for setting the wrong tone. Because right now, this Lakers team is a powder keg waiting to explode. They look dominant against weak competition. Then they run into a team with youth, energy, and hunger like Houston, and they get blown off the court. That's not championship basketball. That's not even playoff basketball in the brutal Western Conference. The Rockets came into this game having lost 2 straight. They were searching for answers, and they found them by outworking, out-hustling, and outplaying a Lakers team that was supposed to be better than this. Kevin Durant and the Suns had their own storyline on Christmas Day. But the Lakers-Rockets disaster is what everyone's talking about because it exposed everything wrong with this Lakers team in one brutal, unforgiving performance. The Western Conference is too good for teams that don't show up. Houston is young and getting better every game. OKC is the best team in the league. The Nuggets just had Nikola Jokic drop 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 15 assists in a Christmas Day masterpiece. The competition is fierce. The margin for error is razor thin. And the Lakers, they're trying to compete in this environment with aging stars who won't commit on defense and a first-year coach who doesn't have the authority to demand more from them. It's a recipe for disaster, and we're watching it unfold in real time. The question isn't whether the Lakers were better without LeBron at the start of the season. The question is whether this current version of the Lakers, with this approach, with this lack of accountability, can actually compete for anything meaningful. And based on what we saw on Christmas Day, based on the pattern of blowout losses and defensive lapses and bad body language, the answer is looking more and more like no. That's not disrespect. That's not hate. That's just reality. LeBron James is still capable of incredible things, but the consistency isn't there. The effort isn't always there. And without those things, all the talent in the world doesn't matter. I'm not doing another 53 games like this. JJ drew his line in the sand. But drawing lines doesn't matter if you're not willing to enforce consequences. If the same problems persist game after game, then the line means nothing. Perk is absolutely right. It can't always be everyone else's fault. At some point, everyone needs to be held accountable. The coaches, the role players, and yes, even the legends. Because right now the Lakers are burning, and unless something changes dramatically, this season is going to end in disappointment again.